Have you ever wondered if a woman is secretly fantasizing about you? She won't say it out loud. She won't admit it even to her best friends. But psychology doesn't lie. And if you know what to look for, her hidden signals will give her away. Today, I'm going to reveal 9 powerful dark psychology signs that show when a woman can't stop thinking about you. Stay with me because once you understand these, you'll never second-guess her attraction again. The truth is, women are masters of concealment when it comes to desire. Society has trained them to hide their wants, to play it cool, to never appear too eager. But the human mind is a terrible keeper of secrets. No matter how controlled she appears on the surface, her subconscious is constantly broadcasting signals that reveal exactly what's going on in the private theater of her imagination. And by the end of this video, you'll have the decoder to understand every single one of those transmissions. Sign 1. The lingering eye contact. When she fantasizes about you, her eyes betray her. She may glance at you quickly and look away, but then do it again. Or she holds your gaze a second too long, like she's picturing something else in her mind. Eye contact is primal. It's the window to desire. And when she can't stop thinking about you, she'll struggle to hide it. Let me explain what's actually happening in her brain during these moments. When a woman fantasizes about someone, her mind creates vivid mental images, scenarios, conversations, intimate moments. And when you appear in front of her in real life, there's a collision between fantasy and reality. Her eyes don't just see you as you are, they're overlaying you with all those imagined scenes. That's why the eye contact feels different, charged, almost electric. It's not just looking, it's projecting. You'll notice she might blink more slowly when she looks at you, or her pupils might dilate slightly. These aren't things she can fake or control. They're autonomic responses triggered by attraction and the mental imagery flooding her mind. And here's something fascinating. Research shows that when we think about someone we're attracted to, we unconsciously seek them out visually, even in a crowded room. Her eyes will find you without her even meaning to search for you. It's magnetic, involuntary, and absolutely undeniable once you know what to look for. Ever caught her staring at you when she thought you weren't looking? That's not random, it's attraction leaking through. And the longer she stares before realizing you've noticed, the deeper those fantasies probably run. Sign 2. Her energy shifts around you. You can feel it even before she speaks. If she's normally calm but suddenly more playful or fidgety around you, it's her subconscious reacting to the fantasies in her head. Dark psychology reveals this truth. Desire makes people restless. The more she thinks about you, the harder it is for her to maintain her normal self-control. This energy shift is one of the most reliable indicators because it's so difficult to fake or suppress. When you enter her space, you're not just a person. You're the living embodiment of thoughts she's been entertaining, perhaps for days or weeks. That creates a kind of nervous excitement that ripples through her entire system. Her heart rate might increase slightly. She might speak a little faster, or fumble with objects in her hands. Her movements become more animated, more expressive, almost like she's turned up the volume on her personality. But here's where it gets really interesting. Sometimes the energy shift goes the opposite direction. Instead of becoming more animated, she might become unusually quiet or focused when you're around. This happens when the fantasy is so intense that she's actually trying to contain it, to keep from revealing too much. So she overcompensates by becoming still, measured, controlled. Both responses, the fidgety excitement and the unusual stillness, are two sides of the same coin. They both indicate that your presence is having a profound effect on her internal state, one that she's actively managing because of what's going on in her mind. And here's the catch. If she seems nervous but excited at the same time, it's not confusion. It's attraction fighting to stay hidden. That internal battle creates a unique energy signature that you can actually feel in the air between you. Sign 3. Subtle touches and excuses. A woman who secretly fantasizes about you will often find small excuses to touch you, brushing against your arm, fixing your shirt, or playfully tapping your shoulder. These touches seem harmless, but they're deliberate. Why? Because physical contact lets her imagine closeness without crossing obvious boundaries. It's her subconscious way of testing what it feels like to be near you. Touch is the most intimate of the 5 senses, and when a woman is mentally rehearsing scenarios with you, her body craves to make those fantasies more tangible. Even the briefest physical contact lasting just a fraction of a second creates a sensory memory that she'll replay later. It gives substance to her imagination. After touching your arm, she'll remember the texture of your shirt, the warmth of your skin, the solidity of your presence. These details enrich her mental fantasies, making them feel more real, more vivid, more satisfying. Watch for the pattern, not just individual touches. A woman who's fantasizing about you will create opportunities for contact with increasing frequency. First, it might be an accidental brush when walking past you. Then maybe she reaches across you to grab something instead of asking you to hand it to it. Then comes the playful push or the touch on the arm while laughing. Each touch is a small escalation, a little test of boundaries, and a way to gather more sensory data to fuel her imagination. And here's the psychological key. These touches are usually on socially acceptable areas: arms, shoulders, upper back. She's staying within plausible deniability while still feeding that need for physical connection. Pay attention to this. Women rarely touch men they're not thinking about. If she's reaching out physically, her mind is already ahead. And every touch is like a deposit into a mental bank that she'll withdraw from later when she's alone with her thoughts. Sign 4. She mirrors your behavior. When she's secretly drawn to you, she starts mirroring your movements without realizing it. You lean back, she leans back. You cross your legs, she does too. This isn't coincidence. It's her subconscious trying to align with you. Psychology proves mirroring creates a feeling of closeness, and when she's already fantasizing about you, her body betrays her attraction. Mirroring is one of the most fascinating phenomena in human psychology because it operates entirely below conscious awareness. When a woman is mentally engaged with you, imagining conversations, scenarios, connections, her brain begins to blur the boundary between self and other. In her fantasies, you're connected, in sync, aligned, and her body starts acting out that imagined synchronization in real life. It's like her subconscious is trying to make the fantasy real by creating these moments of harmony and alignment. But mirroring goes beyond just physical movements. Listen to her speech patterns when she's around you. If she starts adopting your vocabulary, your speech rhythms, even your humor style, that's deep mirroring. It means she's not just casually interested, she's absorbing you, integrating pieces of you into her own behavior. This is what happens when someone occupies significant mental space in your life. You begin to internalize their patterns. And when a woman is doing this with you, it's a powerful indication that you're a frequent visitor in her mind's private theater. The most telling moment is when she mirrors something unusual or specific to you. Maybe you have a particular gesture you make when you're thinking, or a specific way you tilt your head when you're listening. If you catch her doing that same thing, especially when you're not actively doing it in that moment, it means she's been watching you carefully enough to absorb these subtle mannerisms. And people only watch that carefully when they're fascinated, when they're studying, when they're mentally replaying your presence over and over. Notice her sipping her drink right after you do? That's not habit, it's her mind syncing with yours. And the more synchronized she becomes, the more evidence you have that her thoughts keep returning to you when you're not around. Sign 5. The way she teases you. Flirting often hides behind playful teasing. If she's giving you nicknames, playfully mocking you, or finding little ways to get your attention, it's not about being mean, it's about building a secret bond. Teasing lets her show interest without having to confess it outright. And when the teasing gets personal, it usually means her mind is already daydreaming about you. Teasing is a brilliant psychological strategy because it accomplishes multiple objectives simultaneously. First, it creates repeated interactions, giving her more excuses to engage with you. Second, it establishes a private dynamic between the two of you, something that feels exclusive, like an inside joke that nobody else is part of. Third, it lets her express affection while maintaining plausible deniability. If confronted, she can always say, "I was just joking," even though both of you feel the undercurrent of something more. When a woman teases a man she's fantasizing about, there's a specific quality to it. It's not harsh or cutting. It's playful, almost affectionate. There's a smile in her voice even when the words sound like mockery, and she's watching your reaction carefully, not to see if she's hurt you, but to see if you're enjoying the game as much as she is. Because that's what it is. A game. A dance. A way of creating intimacy through this back-and-forth exchange that feels alive and dynamic. Pay special attention to what she teases you about. Often she'll focus on things that are actually attractive to her but that she's framing as mockery. She might joke about how seriously you take your work, but that dedication is actually something she finds compelling. She might tease you about being old-fashioned, but traditionalism might be exactly what draws her to you. The teasing is a smokescreen, a way to talk about the qualities she's been thinking about without revealing that she's been thinking about them at all. Most men think teasing is just jokes, but dark psychology reveals it's actually hidden attraction in disguise. And the more personalized the teasing becomes, the more time she's spending thinking about you when you're not there. Sign 6. She finds reasons to talk to you. When a woman is secretly fantasizing about you, she creates excuses to start conversations. Maybe she asks questions she already knows the answer to. Maybe she texts you randomly about something small. It's not about the topic, it's about keeping a line of connection. Her mind can't stop circling back to you, so she invents reasons to pull you into her world. This is one of the clearest indicators because it requires active effort on her part. She has to think of a reason, craft a message or approach, and initiate contact. That doesn't happen unless you're already occupying significant mental space. What's she really doing when she texts you about something trivial? She's feeding the fantasy. Every interaction with you gives her new material. Your tone, your humor, your perspective, your energy. She takes all of that back into her private thoughts and weaves it into the scenarios she's imagining. Watch for the pattern of her reaching out. Does she text you late at night? That's significant. It means you're on her mind during those quiet, introspective hours when fantasies tend to flourish. Does she find ways to extend conversations even after the original topic has been exhausted? That's because she's not ready to let go of the connection. The conversation itself is secondary to the feeling of being engaged with you. And here's something subtle but powerful. Notice if she remembers small details from previous conversations and brings them up later. Hey, you mentioned last week that you were... This proves she's been thinking about your exchanges after they're over, replaying them, holding on to them. Women don't retain trivial details about men who don't matter to them. But when a man occupies her fantasy life, suddenly everything he says becomes memorable, significant, worth storing away and referencing later. If she's always accidentally reaching out, it's no accident her thoughts are louder than her words. And every message she sends is really a way of saying, "I've been thinking about you," without actually saying it. Sign 7. She shows vulnerability. One of the strongest signs she's secretly fantasizing about you is when she reveals little pieces of vulnerability. She tells you personal stories, admits something embarrassing, or lets you see her softer side. This isn't random. It's her subconscious way of deepening intimacy. When a woman can't stop thinking about a man, she imagines what it would feel like to be close to him. And vulnerability is her way of stepping into that fantasy. Vulnerability is powerful because it transforms a casual dynamic into something intimate. When she shares something personal, she's essentially saying, "I trust you with this piece of me." And that act of trust creates a bond, moves you from acquaintance to someone who knows her in a deeper way. In her mind, she's been rehearsing emotional intimacy with you through her fantasies. Showing vulnerability is her way of testing whether that imagined intimacy could exist in reality. There's a specific type of vulnerability that's especially telling. When she admits something that makes her seem imperfect or human. Maybe she tells you about a mistake she made, or a fear she has, or an insecurity that bothers her. She's taking a risk, the risk that you'll judge her, that you'll lose interest once you see she's not perfect. But she takes that risk because in her fantasies, you already accept all of her. She's imagining a version of you that sees her flaws and still wants her. By revealing those flaws in real life, she's testing whether the fantasy matches reality. Pay attention to when and where she shows vulnerability. Is it in private moments, away from other people? That's significant. It means she wants to create an intimate space between just the two of you. Is it during emotional moments, perhaps late at night or during a meaningful conversation? Those are the times when her guard is naturally lower, when the fantasies feel more real, when the distance between what she imagines and what she admits out loud starts to shrink. Here's the secret when she lets her guard down. She's not just being friendly. She's testing the fantasy of trust with you. And every vulnerability she shares is an invitation to step deeper into the emotional space she's already created for you in her mind. Sign 8. She mentions you in unexpected ways. If she's secretly fantasizing about you, she'll start weaving you into conversations even when you're not there. She may mention something you said, laugh about something you did, or casually drop your name around others. This is more than habit, it's obsession leaking out. When you live rent-free in her head, her words give her away. This particular sign is powerful because it's observable through third parties. You might not even be present when it happens, but you'll hear about it. A mutual friend might mention, "Oh yeah, she was talking about you the other day," or "She told us that funny story involving you." What's happening psychologically is that you've become a reference point in her mental landscape. When she experiences something, she often relates it back to you. When a conversation touches on certain topics, you naturally come to mind and slip into her words. This isn't strategic or calculated, it's involuntary. When someone fantasizes about you regularly, you become associated with multiple contexts in their brain. You're not just that guy from work or that friend of a friend. You're connected to humor, to interesting ideas, to memorable moments, to hypothetical scenarios. So when any of those topics come up in conversation, neurologically, you light up in her mind. And what lights up in the mind often comes out of the mouth. Listen for how she mentions you. Is there a smile in her voice when she says your name? Does she linger on stories that involve you? Does she defend you if others speak negatively, even in minor ways? These indicate that you hold a protected, positive space in her mental world. She's not just mentioning you, she's presenting you in a certain light, shaping how others perceive you, almost like she's curating your image. That's not something people do for others they're indifferent about. Listen carefully. If she brings you up out of nowhere, it's not random. It's because you're on her mind far more than she admits. And the fact that she can't help but talk about you reveals just how much mental real estate you're occupying. Sign 9. The silent pause. And here's the most powerful sign of all, the pause. Sometimes, when she's talking to you, she'll go quiet for just a second, almost like she got lost in her own mind. That's because she did. The fantasy took over. A glance, a smile, a small silence. These are the moments when attraction is loudest, even though nothing is being said. These pauses are windows into her inner world. In that brief moment of silence, something happened. Maybe you said something that aligned perfectly with how she imagines you. Maybe the light hit your face in a certain way. Maybe she suddenly became aware of the physical distance between you and felt the pull to close it. Whatever triggered it, in that pause, the fantasy became overwhelming enough to momentarily hijack her conscious awareness. She went somewhere in her mind. Somewhere she goes often when she's alone. Somewhere you're always the central character. What makes this sign so powerful is its honesty. Words can be controlled, managed, chosen carefully, but these micro moments of distraction, they're pure, unfiltered glimpses of what's happening beneath the surface. You might notice her eyes lose focus slightly, or she might have to ask you to repeat what you just said because she drifted. Or there's a pause before she responds, longer than necessary, as if she had to pull herself back from somewhere distant before she could engage with the present moment. Sometimes this happens with a specific expression, a slight smile, a soft look, a momentary intensity in her gaze. These are the moments when the mask slips, when the careful presentation gives way to genuine feeling. And if you're paying attention, if you're present enough to catch these micro-expressions, you're seeing something true. You're witnessing the exact moment when fantasy and reality overlap, when what she's been imagining in private breaks through into the shared space between you. When she drifts for a second while looking at you, understand this. In that moment, you're not just in front of her. You're in her imagination. And that imagination has been very busy rehearsing scenarios that involve you in ways she'll never openly admit. So, those are the 9 hidden signs that a woman is secretly fantasizing about you. She won't tell you. She might not even realize it herself, but her body language, her words, her energy, they all reveal the truth. The next time you're around her, pay attention. You might discover she's been thinking about you far more than you imagined. Understanding these signs isn't about manipulation. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing when someone is experiencing attraction but hasn't found the courage or the right moment to express it openly. And that awareness gives you choices. You can choose to reciprocate, to create opportunities for deeper connection, or you can choose to maintain boundaries if that's what's appropriate. But at least you're making those choices from a place of understanding rather than confusion. The human mind is an incredible thing. It creates entire worlds, rehearses countless scenarios, experiences emotions about events that haven't even happened. When a woman fantasizes about you, She's building something in her private mental space, a version of connection, intimacy, possibility. These 9 signs are the breadcrumbs she leaves behind, unintentionally, as evidence of that hidden construction. And now that you know what to look for, you'll see them everywhere. You'll recognize them in retrospect. Oh, that's what was happening during that conversation. And you'll spot them in real time, giving you the ability to respond with intention rather than confusion. The invisible has become visible. The hidden is now revealed. And your understanding of human attraction will never be the same. If you enjoyed uncovering these dark psychology secrets, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And don't stop here. Check out the other videos on this channel. They'll give you even deeper truths about attraction, relationships, and the psychology of desire. Trust me, you'll see the hidden world of signals and fantasies in a way you never have before. Because once you understand how the human mind works, once you learn to read the subtle language of attraction, you become fluent in a form of communication most people don't even know exists. Until next time, stay observant, stay curious, and remember, the most important conversations are often the ones that never use words at all.